All right, good morning. It is such a great day to have synchronicity. I am so excited with our guest today. We have Camilla Williams. She is the executive director of It's Mind Movement. She's here with us today to tell me all about her program. Camilla, I'm so excited to see you. Tell
So
us
excited
about
to meet
you.
you. Hi.
Yes. So
Um,
tell us about you.
which is one of the hardest things that you can even ask someone to do. But as you said, I'm Camilla Williams, and I am the executive director and founder of It's My Movement. We are a Philadelphia-based nonprofit organization that provides mental health therapy and so much more. We have panel discussions. We do community-based events. We try to get the word out there about mental health, suicide awareness. I was born and raised in Newark, New Jersey. Born and raised. I had a bit of a tough childhood as a sex abuse victim, now survivor. And from the time I was 4 to 14, and then when I was 15, I then went into foster care. It was a bit harder, but I made it through. And fast forward today, I am a medical biller. I do credentialing and accounts receivable, or your basic healthcare administrator by profession. um, I've been in the field for about 10 years, and I relocated to Philadelphia in 2014 in a relationship that ended domestically abusive. However, I stayed, and after the relationship, I stayed to build my life because I already built a life for myself, and I continue to go into poetry. I'm currently writing a book and just continue my life as an entrepreneur.
Unbelievable. Thank you so much for sharing that. Before you leave today, you're gonna have to share one of those poems. I'm so
Oh, I haven't. I'm gonna share. I'll share, and I haven't spoken poetry in so long. It's okay. It'll get me.
get
It'll
those
get me
juices
warmed up.
flowing.
It'll get it. Okay. I have.
Yes, and heal someone with your words. I'm so moved by the story that you just shared, and just hearing about your resiliency and how you turned a traumatic situation into a story of survival, and just humble that you would share that with us. So thank you. Talk to us a little bit about how mind movement, how did this come to be?
It came because in 2017, um, I just basically had like traumatic events at the traumatic, and like for a very long time, I was like, no, I don't want a therapist. I don't want to go to therapy. Give me a mentor or a life coach. But I'm gonna go to therapy for or whatever. And then after leaving the toxic relationship, I want to call it was in my eyes, it was a major car accident. I hit someone like head on, just like I didn't see them nowhere. I just knew I was just like out of the loop or whatever. And I decided to live in my truth, and I decided to go into my healing journey, and just fully stand on it. And like I started to write my book. I started going to therapy, uh, and I would use my or I practice at least stress management by like going to the gym or running on a treadmill. Sometimes I would travel and like stay in hotels. Majority of my stress relief is mainly either running on a treadmill or, swimming. Those are my two main things. Um, so I basically decided to live in my truth. And one day I was working my old job, and one day I was watching Steve Wilkos show because I've always been fascinated by what he do, what he stand for. And yeah, oh, I guess for the viewers, if people don't know, Steve Wilkos is, I know he used to be a security guard for
Jerry Springer.
Jerry Springer years back in the day, but he used to be a police officer. He was in the Marines and everything. And the main nature around his show was just bringing justice to individuals who were victims of rape or molestation or domestic violence and so many other different things. But this one particular day after, like, I believe I prayed actually. And like one day I was watching the Steve Wilkos show, and it was a story on it that was kind of like similar to mine's, whereas like the siblings on there was like basically trying to prove that the mom wasn't aware that the father was raping and molesting them since they were kids. And at the end of it all, one of the siblings ended up telling one of the school advisors, and they called, child protective services and things like that, which is similar to my story as well. And at the end of it, he's just like, tell somebody and blah, blah, blah. And then I went on to my friend. I was like, oh, you think this is a good idea? And she was like, I triple dare you. Just like, you got to do it. And after I received my article of incorporation, I was just like, it's no turning back from here. I consulted God about my purpose in life. And I feel like this is what came out of it, because I've always been open to sharing my story, rather if it's like in a space of professionals or a space of just like someone else just knowing that they're not in the situations that they have gone through alone. They're not alone, which is a whole nother conversation for suicide, but they are not alone. So
yeah, amazing. As you were talking, I had chill bumps, right? I thought you was going to tell me that you were on Steve Wilkos.
I went as a birthday thing for myself a couple of years ago, but I sat in the audience and I had a good time.
Okay.
I would love to meet him.
Yeah.
I wish. Yeah.
But it's funny how watching that talk show was the catalyst for what we see in front of us today, right? It helped you birth your organization, your agency, and to be able to reach out and talk about your survival story that is helping other people that may be in similar situations. So it's funny how just in life we'll just have those seeds that wind up helping us plant a tree of something phenomenal. So really good on that. What would you say is the mission and the philosophy of It's Mine movement?
Our mission is to help individuals break the cycle of trauma, specifically people of the BIPOC community, Black, Indigenous, and people of color, through education, life skills, and mental health therapy. And the philosophy of it all is that when you take care of yourself, take care of your mind in junction with your body, that you'll live a greater life. You have a greater lifespan to function properly and be a actual human being. A lot of people think that majority of their health is physical, when a lot of that is very much mental. So our big philosophy and hopes is that we would reduce suicide by a fraction just by taking care of our minds in junction with our bodies.
It's that whole holistic philosophy, the mind, body, and spirit, right? And so in order for one to be well, all has to be well. So
absolutely.
Really good on that. So what would you say? Philadelphia seems to be plagued by violence and trauma for some time now. And the latest statistics report that to date, there has been about 473 homicides in 2022. That is a lot, right? And it's scary, right? Thinking about that our city is just being inundated by trauma on a daily basis. I want to say a lot of the clients that come to us for therapy, they're impacted by trauma in some way. They lost, a brother or a son or a friend to this senseless gun violence. How would you say your agency can assist in responding to Philadelphians that are in so much pain? What would you say to that?
I would say that Philadelphia as a whole needs to heal, and I still believe in the term of it takes a village. It literally takes a village of everyone, boy, girl, he, she, their grandpa, auntie, uncle. It takes everybody. It takes a village, and all we can really do is pray and just like be good to one another. And you know, when it comes to losing someone in violence, it's really hard to say like how to deal or how to react. So which is another reason why I feel like these types of resources are important for people who are out here lost and being hurt by someone who has lost someone through senseless gun violence, even including police gun violence, you know, that's happened amongst our community. So I feel like it's a city of people that's hurting and hurting for different reasons. And we all cannot, I mean, we can to be a village, but we all have to take care of ourselves before we can take care of anyone else. We can still be a village and take care of ourselves, you know, and that's really where it comes from, you know. I stand by the song with Michael Jackson, like the man in the mirror, like that's really what it takes. And there's no cup that you can really fill unless you are like pouring into yourself. That's how you show your best way into the world. So
yes, preach.
It is. It is. So even with like doing the organization, I feel like my own traumas, a lot of my own traumas and things need to be healed before I can really like say that I'm really showing up for people 100% whole. So like triggers, like dealing with other people's situations, and like people don't consider like the things that mental health professionals go through as well while dealing with people that's dealing with this. You don't know what they've gone through, and a therapist needs a therapist.
Yes. Oh, definitely.
A therapist needs a therapist. So
because you're taking in that secondhand trauma, right? And sometimes if you have not really unpacked your own emotions, you become triggered by someone else's pain. And so making sure that practitioners are emotionally sound to take on that huge call of helping someone while they're in a valley is very, very important. So really good stuff. So if a client comes to your agency, what could they expect?
They can definitely expect like a family-like environment, you know, of people that they speak to. I, for the most part, is the person who answers the phone. So if it's coming from me, you know, you can most definitely expect great customer service, you know, respect, genuine concern for your conversations, because I know that like when you're calling for mental health therapy, sometimes things just become a word vomit. Even for myself, when I'm looking for therapy for myself, looking for therapists, I just be like, look, I need about 20 minutes of your time to tell you my life story. But
yeah,
you know, it's really good. So, and we wouldn't treat you any different as if like, you know, anyone on the street. We stand for love. My number one goal is to make sure that you're connected with someone that that you feel comfortable with. You can go to as many therapists as you like until you feel comfortable, or we can we can refer you elsewhere. Like our number one concern is your safety, but where you feel safe. As far as receiving services, and you know, dealing with your mental health is something is very hard to put in someone else's hands.
yeah.
So we'll definitely take good care of that, and make sure you have what you need, which is why we have the community resources page on our website where it resource if you're of the community and you provide a resource, we need you on our page so people know other places that they can go to, like, to fulfill a specific need that they may have, rather if it's like financial literacy, or they need to find a detox center, or they need to find work. You know, those types of things are on a website because we want to be able to help people as much as possible. Talking is one thing, but like the action is everything.
Yeah, good. A
Yeah.
one-stop shop.
I try. We'll just
Yeah.
try, you know, as much as possible. You never know it, because with a lot of organizations out here, a lot of them are just like filled up. Like, this is a big city. Philadelphia is a big city. It's but so many workers. It's but so many people. It's just like it's a whole thing. But
a whole plethora of issues.
yeah, we can only do what we can.
Only do what we can. We are chipping at it one issue at a time.
All the time. Absolutely.
Yep, really good with that. What would you say, what sets your agency apart from another, let's say, outpatient agency in the city?
Well, with us, I thought about this a lot, and you know, I know about some agencies in our city, but I would say with us, we definitely make sure we will exhaust every option available until you know, you have what it is that you need as far as when it comes to your livelihood. Our office hours are now like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and close on Tuesdays and Thursdays. But our therapy appointments are Sunday to Saturday. And during the week, we go to as late as 8 o'clock at night or later at the discretion of the therapist. I really just leave it up to them because we want to be, as long as you're available, we want to be available for them almost, I want to say, almost every time. You can definitely get me if it's an emergency. You can get it, especially right now. I'm the executive director. I think it mean a lot to some of our clients when they can get directly to me. Some things, it's mainly small things, but I guess just like having that access, and I don't mind it because you never know what somebody is going through. And I'm glad that people feel comfortable with like talking to me and, you know, things like that. So I can't really say what they would get different without sounding like, oh, we're much better than thou. But what I will say is, like, we have immediate appointments. You know, we have appointments that's like way out. You know, as long as after you fill out your intake, you can get your appointment just as soon as you fill out your intake. As long as, you know, the therapist that you chose, because we do leave that option to people to be able to go on our website and read the bios of our therapists. Because if you're like me, if anything, let me just say, when it comes to my health, I will read everything up and down about a professional. And that's something that's really important, because when it comes to mental health, you want to know who it is that, like, you're trying to communicate with, because people come with specific issues and things that they're really looking to like hash out, rather if it's other things that's like they really don't know. But at least if they know what your specialties are, or if they know the things that you like to do, know things about yourself, can be able to see you and be able, some people, I'm that person. So I try to make the intake process as easy as possible.
Yeah. And that is so important, because that's the first thing that a potential client is going to see, is how a person answers the phone, right? How warm were they? What's the intake process like? Is that traumatizing, right? And so the fact that you have the executive director that's answering the phone and giving you a warm reception and making the intake process as easy as possible and making themselves available with non-traditional hours is key, is essential. So I think that is really important. And I think that you hit on some key topics and domains with that. And so that kind of leads into my next question. I was going to ask you if there's a waiting list, but it sounds like there's not. My next question is if you accept insurance.
We do. We accept Medicaid. Right now we're starting with Health Partners and Keystone First. But we do accept the medical assistance programs. We accept Geisinger, health plans, Highmark, and Humana Behavior Health.
Okay.
And we do sliding scales, and we do private pay, and we're working towards having sponsored sessions. We're working towards that.
Yes, speaking it into existence. So it is so. It's already done. So really good stuff. So Camilla, if you could, without any identifying information, could you share a success story with us?
Mm-hmm. As I would say, a success story is an ongoing success story right now. We have a client, female in her early 20s, who initially came to us after she experienced a stillborn birth. And at the time of the intake, her mom was basically doing everything for her. Even though she was early in her 20s, she was really like fragile, broken, understandably so, because like I can only imagine, I don't have any children, but I can only imagine like, the heartbreak of that. But either way, she went through the IVF situation and obviously didn't work out. And then like in between time, her mom became increasingly concerned about like her mental state. She noticed that like she started to spiral mentally in a sense. And when her mom called and I answered, I automatically treated it as her mom felt like she could be showing suicidal ideation, and I treated it as such. And going back to like what stands out about us, one thing that I want to do when it comes to things like this, where the family is concerned and the person could be suicidal or they possibly can't be suicidal, but we don't ever know what somebody is going through at the time, and not everybody speak to everyone about the same thing of whatever is going on, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, I did treat it as she could possibly be suicidal. Therapist immediately reached out to her, had a session with her. My initial thought was that she is going through her grieving process.
Yeah.
Because, and as a mom, I can understand why it would seem like somebody help my daughter like right now. Like I'm ready. She's ready to have her 302.
Yeah.
But, and the thing with us and the people that like who join me in this journey believe that like 302 and someone isn't always the answer. Like someone just needs someone to listen to, and rightfully so. She's just grieving. And we offer offer holistic options to her, where like one of the resources that's on my webpage, that's on our website. Oh my God, Precious Jewels program. She's also a doula.
Yeah.
And through like spiritual circles with sisters, she is the best. Her name is Falami Irvin.
Okay. I'm gonna need her information.
She is like the best. And it was the fact that the client had considered it, but I knew that I felt like some people, like when we're going through something mentally, I can feel you. Like some people just like shut down. She spoke to her therapist. All is well with her therapist. She do not need to be 302 or anything like that. And now to this day, she went through the IVF process again, and she's 8 months pregnant.
Wow.
And I believe she's basically at this point, last I heard she was 8 months pregnant. So she's probably due any day at this point, or probably due in January. But she's still seeing her therapist, the same therapist that she's been seeing. She's in a better like mental state and everything. And this was all in a matter of, I want to say 11 months. And a year can really make a difference. And just thinking as if I would have went off of, because the mom is somebody help my daughter, I think she's whatever. And okay, therapist sign her paper to get her 302. That's what a lot of organizations and a lot of companies do. Get them up in there, and that itself is traumatizing. And I've seen how it really affects people, rather if they like gone through or whether as a kid, where they were quick to like be put into that situation, and now they're older and still affected by being institutionalized. Not saying that it doesn't help certain people, but it's not always effective.
Yeah.
So with your previous question, like we would like to like, if we can, if it's not like immediate, if we can check off this person doesn't have a plan, they're not hurting themselves, they're not in the danger of others, they're just, probably just need somebody to sit next to them and just listen or whatever. If we can identify those things, then we can take holistic approaches, and it doesn't have to always go to the extreme. To me, it goes to the extreme based on the people that's around them. I could go on a tangents about that, but
yeah, definitely that was a really good example of a success story, and how you guys got in there to support this young woman when she was going through such a difficult time, and now have the ability to celebrate with her as she is going into this transition to motherhood. So really humbled that you shared that with us. And for individuals who are unaware, 302 is a 3-day involuntary commitment that is held on individuals who may be a threat to themselves or anyone else, and it is a warrant. So police can transport you to the hospital, come and get you from your home. At times you are cuffed and put in a wagon if they do have to pick you up, and you're transported to the nearest crisis center. So it's not a pretty sight. Have been deeply involved in that process, and if there are ways to still treat a person without having to put that 72-hour hold or 302 on them, we are working in the field to see if that can come into fruition. So thank you for sharing that. Camilla,
still treat it we kind of still treated it like a 72-hour, like it was like 72 hours intensive watch on you. We just want to make sure that you're okay, but like you're not institutionalized, that. Yeah.
It's a hard process, a very hard process. Yeah. So Camilla, with dealing with all of this, right, and taking in all that you take in and seeing all that you see and the stories that you hear, and being that support person for individuals that are in need, what stress reduction techniques do you utilize to keep yourself grounded? And could you share those techniques with us?
It's funny that you ask because I just started going back to therapy like just this Monday. Like I just found a new therapist, and I even took it up a notch and like scheduled like probably like maybe 2 or 3 therapists just to see who I really like, because I feel like I'm still on a journey of like healing my childhood trauma and things. So this book needs to be released, and so now I'm actively looking for ways that I can identify with that keeps me grounded. So I'm going to go further into meditation. Yes. And seeing what that is like, because I feel like I basically already do it without knowing that I do it. I just want to be able to intentionally meditate when it comes, because I am a person of energy. I believe in what you give out into the world, what you bring back, the universe, and all of that great stuff. I like to exercise. Well, I'm not gonna say I like to exercise, but I do like to, when I am at a point right now where I'm ready to like get back on the treadmill, on the elliptical, or a bike maybe. It's just because when I'm built up, my adrenaline just like whatever. So that's my sense of release. Or I'll go swimming. I'll swim. I'll go take a vacation, or rather, if it's just at a hotel that have a pool. And my main sense of meditation is floating in a pool, and I will lay there and I will float for like hours. if I could. I do try to prioritize my self-care. Um, Even if that means not getting out the bed and just watching movies all day and have my bed filled up with food and my pocketbook and my notebook, probably, because I can't help myself but to work from my bed, because sometimes that's a release for me as being as a founder or executive director. Ideas come to me sometimes, all the time, and yeah, so I'm still, that's an ongoing thing now. I'm actively looking to get back into things that's engaging in my self-care because it's necessary. Yeah.
Yeah, necessary and important. And those stress reduction techniques sounds wonderful. So thank you so much for sharing those with us. What else? What else would you like to share with us that we haven't covered this morning?
I'd like to share that in light of talking about people who have experienced violence and trauma in the Philadelphia area, the organization is looking for corporations, employers, or individuals who's looking for tax deductions, looking for individuals who are willing to sponsor their employees, sponsor people in general for therapy sessions with us for 6 months to a year. And those people had to been a sexual trauma, though domestic violence victims. They can be people who are in substance abuse recovery, people who has been affected by gun violence, sex offenders themselves. If you like to sponsor a sex offender, we want to be able to sponsor people who really, really need the help, with no worry in the world about what the insurance is or what the cost is. They know at least if they start from 6 months to a year, by the following year, they'll be a totally different person. And that's okay. So we're looking for sponsors. And next year we are we do engage in panel discussions where we talk about different topics that will technically be considered taboo to other people. We talk about sexual trauma, we talk about consent, and we domestic violence, anything. I'm a very transparent person, so I'm open to talk about anything. And we are looking to have fundraisers and community events next year to bring more awareness on mental illness and more mental health organizations around the Philadelphia area.
Yeah, wonderful. So I'll make sure that all of that information is pinned under your video, including ways that sponsors can get in touch with you, potential clients can get in touch with you, just individuals, family members, and just want more information. Make sure that all of that is posted so that we can get them directly in touch with this movement. I'm so excited.
It's definitely a movement.
Definitely a movement. So before I let you go, I am going to ask you to share a poem with us.
Oh, you remember?
I definitely remember it.
Okay. So I have a poem that I usually is my most popular poem whenever I do perform. And it is my very first poem that I wrote when I decided that I was going to start doing spoken word poetry. And it was right after I got out of the abusive relationship. So I just basically wanted to manifest my future. I am big on our Black community, especially us queens, and being uplifted. So I have a poem called I Pray for Women Like Me. And women like me can mean a lot of anything depending on who you are. So it's called I Pray for Women Like Me. Strong, fearless women like me who live behind the walls of brokenness that was created to define her inner power, to empower, to prosper and conquer all that she sees. Strong women like me, yearning for inner peace, faded out what people told her she'd be. She's not what they label her to be. She's a queen. I pray for women like me who unpack their baggage unapologetically, having to block out the criticism that that comes with the territory. I pray for women like me who wear that conscience of don't judge me because people judge what they don't know and still ignore what their eyes say is true. I pray for women like me who have that fight or flight complex, finding comfort in being a pessimist because what's in front of you says give in, but greater instincts give you reasons to live. I pray for women like me, rebellious in your soul, once lost in your heart because oh, who's impulsive, waiting for another minute because you may miss out on opportunities. I pray for women like me, whose instincts is to find intent with everyone they meet. Women like me, who count their good days by the goals she has reached. Salute to she who owns what happens in her life on a daily. Salute to she who owns what happens in her life on a daily. I pray for women like me who find themselves adjusting their crowns frequently because the sheep and wolf skin started creeping. It reminds you of all the reasons that you're a queen. I pray for women like me who find no hope and trust, too stuck dealing with other people's perspective on love, aloof to friendships because they eventually fade away, prone to survival, numb to trials, knowing not to trust someone you just met because it will take a while. I pray for women like me, still interrupting your day with what ifs, women like me, who take in as much wisdom as their spirit can handle because you know what life entitles. I pray for women like me, who knows there's a higher power but find reasons not to believe what life conceives as who we were meant to be. I pray for women like me, who have people around you that says they love you but envy. Understand, ladies, this is for my queens. I pray for women like me, who understand what it feels like to be belittled, undermined, underestimated, and manipulated because you allow someone to get close enough to play puppet master to your weaknesses. Salute to the queens who had the instincts to pick herself up and remind herself to love herself, who can love you more than yourself. Understand, ladies, this is for my queens. I pray for women like me because we're the backbones of chaos. We bring the quiet in the storm. We are the key holders of no force. We were made different, to prosper, to empower all that we see and anything that needs the attention of a queen. Even women who move like pawns have the potential to be a queen. So don't stop and remember to pray for each other and watch we change the world, my queens. Salute to the queens who pray for women like me.
Ah, Ashay. That was really good. I got tears like in my eyes. The
I
children.
haven't performed that in years.
That was really good. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming and spending some time with us this morning. It's my movement, definitely a movement. I'll make sure that all of your information is pinned. My wish for you, my goal for you is to be brave, be magical, and above all else, be well. Thank you for coming out.
Thank you.
Good one.
Me too.